If you had the opportunity to live in a children's wonderland, would you choose anywhere else? We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk with me, Anele, right here on SABC3, where the stage is yours. Today, we're talking about an issue that could be causing many parents and learners, especially those in Matric, to have sleepless nights, and that is what lies ahead after Matric. With limited spaces and financial constraints, the reality is that not everyone will end up in university, which for many seems to be the only way forward. A lot of learners will be forced to make different choices for the future in terms of furthering their education or entering the job markets. Our guest today will give insights as to what they can do to not only enter the markets but also get into fields they themselves will be happy in decades from now. In studio and joining me a little later, I have functional therapist Dr. Laas, program manager for the Business School of South Africa, Caryn Michler, National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, spokesperson Mr Kagisho Mamabolo, as well as entrepreneur and speaker Bulelani Balabala. But first, let's hear from these two matriculants.
Hi, I'm Nqobile, a matriculant in Phoenix College of Johannesburg. I'm doing science subjects, and next year I intend to do either medicine or actuarial science in Wits or in UCT. During my spare time, I play basketball, I do debate, I do public speaking, I play chess. Yeah, basically that's me.
Hi, I'm Chare, Mouton, and I'm a student from Samuel International College in Midrand. I'm currently busy doing my AS level, which is equivalent to Matric. I applied at UJ, UP and Wits to study either biokinetics or physiotherapy. Even though lots of my spare time gets taken up by schoolwork and studying, I still do like my occasional photography. Thanks for having me on Real Talk.
And here you guys are. You guys haven't figured out though. You know exactly what you want to do next year, Chare?
Yes, ma'am. I applied at UJ and UP and Wits to either study biokinetics or physiotherapy.
Have you heard back from them?
No, not yet, ma'am.
What happens if they all say no?
Then I'll take a gap year, ma'am.
Gap year doing what then?
Well, ma'am, I can either take a gap year or continue my education doing my A-levels at my school.
Nqobile, also, I mean, the courses you want to do, they flooded, hey?
Yeah.
And I remember there was a time when if you got like a B for maths, you could do medicine. Now, because there's so many people, you literally have to be getting an A+. Do you know that?
Yes, I'm aware, ma'am.
And?
Maths is my playground.
Oh! Better you than me. So yes. You want to either do actuarial sciences or you want to do medicine? Yeah,
either of the two, but I think actuarial is better because it is a scarce skill. And actuarial scientists are in demand, so basically I think that guarantees me a job in the future. That's
very true. Now, how did you know that? Because you're in Matric, right? And for you to know that actuarial scientists are in demand, somebody has to be feeding you that information because it's not like you're spending your time at UCT. How do you know that?
I carried out my research. By the time I figured out that I'm going to do actuarial science, I started researching about it. I even went to Cape Town in May to find out more about it, and I spoke to a few students who are studying actuarial science currently.
Okay. So what's the difference, you know, between you guys and other kids? Because I remember I didn't have my life figured out in Matric, but everybody else, my friends, it's like they knew what they were doing, they'd applied and all of that. So what's the difference? Why do you have your thoughts together?
Wow, man, that's actually a hard question.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. Wow, that's really hard. I think I'll give it over to him.
Nqobile, let's start with you. Like, you know, because I mean, you've got your friends who are still not knowing where they're going next year. You know, what do you think sets you apart?
Basically, I'm always different. I choose to be different every time. And my dad taught me well. He taught me that proper preparations prevents pretty poor performances. So that's what I did. Yes.
The 6 Ps.
Yes, exactly.
Is there guidance at your school where on a weekly basis you being kind of taught as to what happens after Matric?
Well, there is, yes, ma'am. And also we had additional people come into our school like Dr. Laas, who gave us like an aptitude test in where we should, which fields we should go to and what we should study and become.
So the path that you have chosen, is it, you know, reflective of your aptitude test results?
Not necessarily, ma'am.
So what did the test say?
The test said that I should go into research and work by myself and become pathologist. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I decided to go into physiotherapy and biokineticist because I think I find it interesting, ma'am. All the biology aspects of it as well.
And have you always wanted to do that? I mean, in standard 6, did you not want to be something else and then your mind changed in standard 7 and then in standard 8?
I never knew what I wanted to become, ma'am, until I saw Dr. Laurie Maas, and then only this year I decided that I want to go into that route.
Have you spoken to people who are already doing what, not the ones that are studying actuary, but ones that are already working as actuaries? And if you've spoken to them, do they say they're happy in their jobs?
Yes, I have a mentor who is doing actuarial science, and he is very much happy about everything there. And he acknowledges that my maths is good and I'm qualified. I can qualify to be part of their faculty. Yes.
What's distracting in high school right now? Because, I mean, you and I were chatting about the fact that you guys only have prefects in grade 11 because they don't want you to be a prefect in grade 12 because you must concentrate on your studies. I mean, I haven't been in school for, what, a good 15 years. What's distracting as a matriculant right now?
I think maybe the stress of being accepted into universities and passing your NBTs to be able to get accepted into universities.
What's MBTs?
Is your national benchmark test, ma'am, that many universities require from you to get like your standard of your knowledge. And then that many of the times get weighed 50-50% with your overall matric results.
So you no longer just apply to universities now with your results. There's kind of an assessment to get into varsity.
Yes, ma'am.
When do you write that?
I wrote mine last week Saturday for 6 hours long.
What?
Yes,
How did you do?
I don't know yet, ma'am. I'll find out in 3 weeks' time.
Okay, cross your fingers. Did you also do this test?
Yes, I have.
And did you get your results, Mr. Maths is my playground?
Not yet, but I'm positive I made it with maths. I'm not sure about AQL though.
What's AQL?
Basically, I think it is it is concerned with your English, your language, and other aspects.
Oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. So what did your parents want you to study?
My parents have always been supportive. They've never told me what to study. They just said, just figure out what you want to study, we'll support you. That's it.
And your parents?
My mom is a teacher herself, so my mom wanted me to become a teacher as well. And I'm not good at things like that.
Okay, so you taking another path?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know there's a lot of, when you are in grade 11, they make you go and, you know, go to the offices of where, it's like, take a girl child to school day. Have you done any of that where you go and intern at a place where he's doing what you want to study?
No, ma'am, but I'm going next week to go do some job shadowing at physiotherapists in Gauteng.
Nqobile?
I haven't attended any of those. Yeah, but I've been speaking to the right people, so I believe I've got enough information. But that doesn't mean I'll stop digging. I'll continue with my research and find out more what I can do more to have an advantage.
Is a gap year an option for you, where you next year you just don't study?
No, I believe I'll be rusty by the time I go back to school. And by the time you get used to holding money and things like that, going back to school sometimes becomes pretty much hectic. I know people who tried that, and right now when you tell them about school, it's like you have said something which is a taboo or something.
Oh, so once you start getting paid, then you feel like I'm getting paid. I don't need to go back to school.
Exactly.
This is only going to get better.
Yeah. And then you only realize it later that you are making a very big mistake, because what you are going to get after studying maybe will be double what you're getting now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not even considering gap year.
Oh, interesting. Listen, I want you to join in the conversation by sending your voice notes with comments or questions to our WhatsApp number on the screen. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Real Talk. Today we're talking Matric and Beyond, and we're trying to explore the options available to matriculants after matriculating. We are now joined by Dr. Marie Laas, a functional therapist. So, Marie, the stats of people who find out that they're in the wrong job like a good decade later, it's quite astounding. Yeah, I can see your eyes getting bigger as you agree with me. How do we curb that?
Well, at this stage, we're talking 52% of people not doing what they studied.
Oh.
So I always have the motto that nothing is fixed in cement. You can change any time. I have a lot of people coming to see me in my practice after 50. And then we start a new career. That's the trend now, that at 50 you can start a new career, because more than often your parents ask you to do something, or they could afford to send you to university. You studied something that you hate for 40 years. And then when you have enough and you have enough money, they change.
So what's your skill? Let's say I come to you and I say, yo, lady, me, I don't like this TV life anymore. You know, what's the process after that?
I most probably would ask you to fill in an inventory, which gives a lot of information, and it's statistically balanced. And then with sitting around at the table and talking about it, hearing what you hate, what you don't like, what you do like, what your values and your aptitude, we can make a decision.
So are you guys doing these sort of tests for kids in school, just to kind of, you know, get ahead of the curve there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We start in grade 7 for the right school choice. So say, for instance, you should go technical, or you should go art, or you should go agricultural, or just academic. I guide them to do that, to make the right school choice with the schools that's got the right subjects. And then in grade 9, the right subject choices, and then grade 11, 12 for the career choice, where these two are now.
So, Nqobile, did you ever go through any of these tests?
No, I didn't.
I'm alarmed at how calm you are. Like, you just have it all figured out.
No, I think it's within me to think ahead. I always think ahead. Before I do something, I always consider the consequences and everything.
Yeah.
So basically, when I was growing up, well, I had to look up to certain people, and they inspired me, and Then,
when you were picking your subjects, when do you pick them? Grade 10?
I picked mine in grade 9.
In grade 9, as early as grade 9.
Yes,
when you're picking subjects, were you picking with the goal of doing the biokinetics in mind?
No, ma'am.
How were you picking them?
Well, I enjoyed biology as a subject.
Yeah.
So I chose subjects around biology that would go into, obviously, the BSc degree.
Yeah.
And how they would go in with them.
Because once you're in there, then you can kind of venture out.
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to studying, just as a whole, Doctor, for me, I feel that you could have any degree and still go and do something else, because a degree, yes, you're going to learn the knowledge around that department, but it also just shows that you can work hard and you're quite disciplined by having passed your degree. Am I wrong in thinking that?
Absolutely correct. I think there's a lot of skills that you learn that puts you one up towards people that never studied. You know, the small hours early in the morning, deadlines. I think you learn to know a lot about yourself when you study.
Yeah.
Which is always a benefit when you walk into a world of work.
So you are saying, like, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, that, you know, studying the wrong degree and passing it is not necessarily a dead end. It
Definitely not the
actually
end of
opens
the
the doors for you.
Absolutely. Never the end of the world. And don't ever underestimate what you learn. So nothing is wrong.
Yes.
You can't study wrong. You can study the wrong degree.
Yeah.
And just move to the next.
Yeah.
Nothing is fixed in cement.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get across, that studying is not wrong, even if it's the wrong degree, but the fact that you are studying and you are in varsity and you are, you know, interacting with lecturers, that in itself can equip you to go and do whatever it is that you want.
A world of its own. And I think there's certain skills that you only learn when you study. And not necessarily at a university like face-to-face tuition, also on your own, on online, or whatever.
Distance
Just
learning.
the effort that you put into study to better your knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a WhatsApp for you guys. Have a listen.
Hello to our guests and Sis Anele. My name is Nqobile Masangwana. I'm in Matric and I'm 17. I'd like to know to our guests, both of them, what do they look at first when choosing a career path? Do they look at, do I like it? Do I qualify? How much does it pay? Yeah. What do they look at? Thank you.
Okay, Chare.
I think how much I would enjoy it. And working with people and how you can help them at the end of the day and making their lives better, if you can say it like that.
Okay, Nqobile?
I think basically you have to look at your interests and bearing in mind reality. You cannot just desire to be something but knowing that you're not capable of becoming that. So when you consider a career path, you think of what you like and what you're capable of doing. So basically that's that.
But none of you answered the money question.
To be realistic, everyone is worried about the money and stuff. So money, you also consider money, but patient first, then money later.
Okay. Wow, that's quite profound for matriculant. You, money?
I don't think money leads to happiness. So if you enjoy what you do, do it. If it doesn't pay lots, enjoy it. So I think, yeah.
Nqobile, what's your plan B?
My plan B is medicine.
Okay, but I mean, you know, that's, let's say you can't get into varsity, then what's your plan?
Venture into business, do something with my life. There are a lot of things that you can do to survive. For example, you can, okay, with a matric certificate, you can apply for a number of jobs. And yeah, and when I'm working, I'll then start studying later, if provided the money was the barrier for me not going to varsity.
You?
I would continue doing my education, do my A levels, which is the continuation of my AS levels. And then I'll apply again and see what comes out there.
Doctor, have you ever come across somebody who's passionate about something but they're just not good at it? And how do you break it to them?
A lot.
Oh,
A lot of
your
times.
job.
A lot of times. I think when it is clear to a student that the aptitude is there but not necessarily the ability. And I don't only look at marks. Promise you, I don't look at school marks as the only trend. But when you start talking to them, usually more than often, they would walk out and say, yeah, ma'am, that's exactly what I wanted to study, but I didn't know what you call it. So you also have levels in careers.
Yeah.
So the minute you start talking to them to tell them exactly what it means to become a medical doctor, or what do you become when you become a physio?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
More than often people would say, no, but I don't want to touch people, you know? So they don't know. And I also think that a lot of the learners don't know what's out there.
That's so
There's
true.
a lot of interesting stuff that they can study, but they don't know.
When I was in high school, I didn't know anything about, there's an entire industry called advertising. You know, so I'd watch TV and there'd be adverts, but nothing in my mind ever thought that somebody scripts that, somebody conceptualizes that. And then when you get to varsity and you start working, you realize all of these things. What are we doing, like in the working realm, to make sure that this information reaches high schools?
You see, the thing is, I think there's a lot of schools that do a lot of trouble to take their kids to expose and so on. But there are also schools that's guilty, that don't expose the kids to enough. And I think if only you can have one passionate teacher at a school that will take up that duty, a place where they can go and find books or research like he's done, or talk to someone, or invite people to the school, even in such a sense that you invite the parents. So what are all the possibilities that your child can look at? So I don't think that they are exposed enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with everything. I'll be coming to you for physio and you to help me with my money. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to send us your tweets and tell us what your concerns are. Are you in matric? Are you in a dark spot? You don't know what you're going to do next year? Send us your tweets. We'll see how we can help you. We will be right back. And welcome back to Real Talk. Today we're talking Matric and Beyond and trying to explore the options available to matriculants. We're now joined by Caryn Michler, the program manager at the Business School of South Africa. What is that?
Well, what we do, if you look at your everyday, you've got technicons, universities. Now, we are a private institution that offers training to, or we partner with corporate companies, private companies, in order to do a tripartite agreement for learnerships and internships.
So when do I come to you?
Do you work for a company?
Oh, you have to work for a company, and then you guys keep my skills in check?
Yes, we do the learnerships, we do the training. We are a training provider registered with CETA.
Okay,
yes.
So I don't have to have studied a degree or a diploma. I just have to be employed by someone, and then I get sent to you guys?
Yes, if they have all their checks in order, a learnership plan and their levies and stuff, then yes. Okay. Then they partner with us. We have a tripartite agreement between the learner, the company and the training provider. And we come in and we train you. We have a specific skill set in which we train you, yes. Okay,
so you were talking about these assessment tests that you have. Do we pay to have them done? Obviously, you have to make a living somehow.
Yes, ma'am. They pay, and then I send them the assessments. They do them online, don't have to send me back anything. And the minute I have access to the data that you've done the tests, I compile the reports, and then I invite you for a feedback session.
And to those who can't afford to do it, is there any other platform that could help them achieve the same results?
They can phone me.
Them as well?
I have sponsors.
Oh, okay. So you have somebody who pays so that you can afford it to those who cannot?
There's a lot of happy parents that say, well, what you did for my child, I want to have done for somebody else. There's a lot of people that phone me and say, I want to give this as a birthday present to someone, or a present to have an access to the knowledge to build a career.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So what courses are you guys giving there?
We focus mainly on business skill sets, like, for example, management courses. Because it doesn't matter in which line of work you would go into, you'd need basic skill set like people skills. It doesn't help that you're a manager, but you scream at each person that comes along. It's unprofessional. So we focus mainly on that.
And can you run me through apprenticeship, internship, and there's another one, learnership? What's the difference there?
Okay. An internship is where you have where you've already gotten your degree, and you have to go and enforce it in the workplace, to take the knowledge that you have studied and enforce it there. You do get paid, but this is basically to find your feet. A learnership is where you don't need to have anything behind your name, where you can study, say, business management, but you are working. So as you are studying, you are incorporating it in a workplace environment. And an apprenticeship is almost the same, but it's more trade related. So your plumbers, your hairdressers, they're studying, but they need to get that hours, because you're not going to let a hairdresser just go loose on your hair without anything. No. So yes, that's that.
Both of you, how do we feel about matriculants taking gap years? What do you think of that?
It depends. If a person is ready to go and study, what I mean ready is emotionally intelligent enough to know that they must have the responsibility. I don't think a gap year is okay for that type of learner. But the minute a person walks in and they say, ma'am, I really don't know what I want to do, and I'm not ready to start my life. I just want a little bit of a period of rest, or I just want to go and find my feet. I have no issue with that, but then still, please don't sit at home watching TV. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what does one do in that gap year?
Go and do a short course, or go and do a practical year of application of whatever. Or lots of the kids want to go overseas. Lots of the girls come and say they want to au pair or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. My only issue with that is, if it's not in the line of what you're going to study, why do it? Because you shouldn't count the year that you, and I'm not going to call it waste, because it's never waste, it's life skills. But that year, you mustn't count now that you're going to earn like 10,000 a month or 5,000 Rand a month. You must count it in 40 years. On a year of pension, a year of increase, a year of medical aid, a year of, then it's 1 million. You see? So in 40 years' time, you must count that, you must take that into account, taking a gap year. It might cost your parents now 150,000 or 200,000, but in 40 years,
it's 1 million.
It's 1 million.
That is actually such a statement.
See, so please reconsider before you do that. Rather study first, then take a gap year. And go then overseas or whatever, come back with international recognition or application overseas in your field of study. Why waste a year?
Caryn?
I feel it can have both advantages and disadvantages. If you really don't know what you want to study and you can actually use it to find yourself as a person. Maybe you had a tough time at high school and you feel that if you go to university, it's going to follow the same route. Then that's advantages for you. But disadvantages, you can get very lazy and decide, okay, I've started working, I don't need to study further. And that is a disadvantage to you because you close so many doors for yourself. Unless you're going onto a learnership, which helps you to find your way.
Do you go into high schools and give talks on what you do and how you work alongside corporate?
I would like to. We don't at the moment, but I would like to.
Yeah.
I think it would help.
And what's the main thing? Because I know a lot of matrics are watching us right now, and we pretty much, we're not like giving them all the answers, but we're just, you know, highlighting a few things. What's the main bit of advice you would give to a person who's in matric?
If you don't know what you want to do, don't stress. Because if you stress, your matric exams are going to come and you're not going to, that's all you're going to worry about. And your priority is not going to be straight. But do your research. Think about what you want to be. What is your passion and where's there a need? Don't just follow what you want to do. Think about where there's a need and if you can actually fulfill that need.
Doctor, what advice would you give to a matric right now?
Please wake up in grade 11 already, because your grade 11 marks count. So when you make your subject choices, see to it that you make informed choices. If you don't know what to do, rather go and talk to someone, a teacher or a parent or a peer or whatever. Just find out what's available. And then your grade 11 marks are the most important marks because those are the ones that you apply with at the tertiary institutions. The other advice that I would say is nothing but nowhere you will find it that it's written that after the year after matric, you must go into university and study something immediately. You don't have to. I find a lot of people coming to me at 25 and only then they're ready to start studying. So whatever you do, I think the word that I want to write across it is use your time constructively. While starting a learnership or while starting to study, look out, listen, clue yourself up, open your eyes, your ears to what's available, surf the internet and see what's available and clue yourself up with all the wonderful possibilities that's out there. It's not only your tertiary institutions, and what I'm saying there is your government as well as your privates. That's not the only way to study. You can literally sit in your slippers in your dining room or your sitting room and study.
And I need to wrap up, but I want to ask this quickly. Is there like a career that's like the current trend now? Because I remember when I was in matric, everyone was going to go study IT. It was like information technology. Everyone was like, they're going to do that. I didn't even know what it was. So I was like, I will not be doing that. But do you find that there is a trend, like there's a trend career that always happens?
Yeah, there's a lot. You know, you have your people that want to study medicine or the veterinarian, and then the most recent one is branding. Everyone who wants to go into branding. Which is great, or corporate communication, information design.
Okay. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. How do we get hold of you?
You can send me an email. It's the easiest way and I'll always respond. info@businessschool.co.za.
Doctor?
DR, like Dr. Marie Laas. My Marie hasn't got an E, @gmail.com.
Thank you so much. After the break, we talk bursaries and student loans. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the show. For those of you who are thinking of getting into university or college and need financial assistance, this one is for you because we are now joined by the NSFAS spokesperson, Mr. Kagisho Mamabolo. And just like that, we're going to open your chat with us with a WhatsApp voice note. Let's hear it.
Hi, Anele and guests. I'm Renee. I'm in Matric this year. I'd just like to find out, what can you do if your parents don't have the finances to send you to Varsity or college? And
this is where you guys come in. NSFAS, you provide financial assistance, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We are the biggest scheme, I think, in Africa that provides access to higher education. That is for universities and TVET colleges. So in South Africa, we provide students with financial assistance for registration, for tuition, for food, for accommodation, for transport, and it's in terms of loans at universities. And at TVET colleges, it's 100% bursaries, and we target specifically those that cannot afford to pay for their tertiary qualification. So it's indeed our existence to ensure that students that cannot afford are assisted. Like I said, we're a scheme of government. We've got a budget of about 17 billion this year, taking to tertiary more than 480,000 students only for this year.
Now, you said loans at one part and then you said bursaries at another one.
That's correct.
What's the difference?
The difference is that a loan is an amount that you will repay as soon as you start working. And repayment terms are just structured differently. For example, when you go to Varsity, we give you a loan for your first year. If you passed 100% of your modules, we convert 40% of that loan into a bursary, so it's not repayable for your first year. We do the same for your second year. Your final year, we have what we call final year program. If you pass all your final year modules, we convert 100% into a bursary. So repayments would actually be less than 50% of the amount of loan.
Depending on how you perform?
Yes, exactly. So you'll have to do your part as well.
Yeah.
And also you start paying only when you are employed and you earn a salary of 30,000 rand per annum.
And up until then, I don't have to pay you back?
You don't have to pay us back.
How do you know how much I'm getting paid?
Taxman.
Okay, so
yes.
you guys deal with SARS?
Yes.
So SARS will tell you, Anele upastile and when's imali?
Exactly. So as soon as you start contributing tax, then SARS will then disclose that information that you are employed and you earn this much, and then we'll be able to contact you and start to make necessary repayments. Whereas the bursaries are only at TVET colleges, not only rather.
At where colleges?
TVET colleges.
Which means what?
Like your former FET colleges.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are for technical training. So TVET colleges, that's where your scarce and critical skills are. For example, if you want to be an artisan, if you want to do plumbing and all those kind of things. South Africa's human resource development strategy says you need to encourage young people
to do those jobs. So this is why they get 100%
exactly. So government said, if you go there, you'll get 100%. But also, remember there was an issue of stampede a couple of years ago. We've got like graduates who says, matriculants who says, I want to go to Varsity, but they don't know what they want to study. But the reality today is that South Africa needs more graduates from the college sector.
Than they do from Varsity.
Exactly.
So how do you guys pick who's going to get the loans from NSFAS?
Look, our threshold is about 120,000 per annum, which is if your income per home, both of parents combined,
below 120.
is below 120, then we will give you the funding. There's no single student as I speak today that was rejected who earns below that. If you're rejected, you'd find that maybe you did not get admission at a varsity.
Okay, so you guys cannot guarantee that I'll get admitted to a varsity. That's up to the register of the varsity. Where you come in is when it's time to pay.
Yes, we just provide only funding for access.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what I find is that with applying for financial aid, you know, it's like that first month of the year, you guys are inundated with requests. How soon should a person in high school be applying for financial aid from you guys to make the journey a little bit more smoother?
We've got an application window.
Yeah.
It's not just open throughout. We open on the 1st of August. And we've been doing this since for the past 2 years because, remember, we have centralized the system. Previously, you would apply at a university or a college. Now you apply directly to us. And we open on the 1st of August, and we encourage everyone to apply online. We do have a paper-based application, which last year was about 11 pages. This year it's 3 pages.
Sure, thank you.
So it's a bit smaller. But what we're trying to do is that if you can apply between August and November, we have enough time to validate the information you have given us, and then we just wait for matric results. Once they are out, we'll get the result directly from the department, and only those who don't have NSFAS must apply for 2018. If you are currently on NSFAS, you don't have to apply. If you have received NSFAS last year and this year you are continuing, you don't have to apply. It's only those that don't have NSFAS. But if you were rejected previously, you are encouraged to reapply again.
So if I was rejected once, it doesn't mean that I've now been blacklisted from you guys.
No,
I can
not
still
at
come
all.
back
You
and
can
apply.
still come back again and apply.
So earlier you were naming the things that you guys give money for. So let's say I get a 100% NSFAS backing. So I get money for tuition. I get accommodation. So even if the accommodation is not inside res, I can get, say, like a commune or a flat that you guys pay for.
Yes, this is how we work. We first advance a payment to all the universities, about 26 and 50 colleges. We say all our students that qualify for our funding, register them for free without them paying registration. We will then pay that money later. And why we do this? Because once a student is registered, there's information that we require, like the number of modules, how much they cost, whether you stay on res or off res. All those things, they come together to us, and that's when we generate what we call the loan agreement form. It has an amount. So if you are staying on res, then we'll pay that money of accommodation to the university. But if you stay off campus, private accommodation, it has to be a private accommodation.
That is accredited by NSFAS?
No, not by NSFAS, by the institution.
By the Varsity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, all right. And could I ever lose my NSFAS loan or bursary?
Yes, you can.
How?
If you don't pass more than 50% of your modules, we withdraw the funding. If you don't sign your agreement form within 30 days when we send you the link to sign, because you can sign online. And the problem is if you don't, if you change your contact number and we try to contact you, we can't get hold of you, then it means you cannot validate that you still exist and you need the funding.
And what I always find to be a concern, and especially during the whole, it was my concern with fees must fall and all of that was, you know, even if you do have a bursary, there's just certain things that you need that don't have anything to do with your education, like roll-on. Do you know what I'm saying? And aquas cream. And if you're a lady, you need sanitary towels. Do you guys cover those things?
This is what we have decided to do. You know, like I said, we provide access, but we said it's important that we maintain success. And success comes with a whole lot of support at high. So we give you vouchers, which you can go to retail stores to buy your grocery. So you can buy anything that you want, and they come with a limit per day and so forth. And you use your cell phone to pay for that. And the reason we give vouchers is because you don't use cash to buy things that are not necessarily academic. Yeah,
because I can see our students there at the bottle store. with the money from
quite a lot of those.
I know, from NSFAS. Okay, so basically it's an all-rounded approach that you guys do.
Yes. In fact, we want to, our board is actually working very hard with private sector and also with the SETAs to ensure that the students that are in the system get a lot of support so that they don't drop out, because if you drop out, like you heard earlier, that 52%, more than 52% of the students that enroll at university end up choosing the wrong career. If you drop out, then it becomes difficult for us to recover the money. So we can't invest that money.
So you invested, but then you make sure that I am going to succeed because you want your money back.
Yes, we want the money back. And that money, we use it to pay forward to help more students.
This is amazing. How do we get hold of you?
08600 67327.
You're going to have to say that again. 08600 67327.
627.
Now you and I are getting messed up, so let me keep quiet and you say it.
08600 67327.
And that number, I'll be prompted properly and I'll be a step closer to getting financial aid.
Exactly. If you can't get through that number, go to my NSFAS, which is our Twitter handle. Send us a direct message or send us a message, we'll call you back, or go to our website as well, where you can leave us your details, or Facebook. We will be able to get back to you.
My guy, thank you so much. I think you have put a lot of parents at rest today. Thanks so much, Kagisho, for coming through. I hope those of you at home who you are watching and you are taking notes, remember to enter our weekly competition where you stand a chance to win yourself a 5,000 Rands e-gift voucher. We will be right back. And we're back right here on Real Talk. We're now joined by a man who believes in getting things done. He's an entrepreneur and a speaker. Welcome to Bulelani Balabala. Get things done. Is that your vibe there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a motto I live by,
Yeah.
you know, getting things done, because I feel like a lot of people talk about stuff. A lot of people know people who talk about stuff, but the people who actually pioneer growth and development for their communities, their people and their country, are people who actually wake up and get things done.
Execution.
So this is my motivation. Every day I wake up, this is even for me, on those nights and those days I'm feeling lazy, that I need to get up and I actually need to get things done.
So when you dropped out of school in grade 9, you weren't getting things done?
Nah, I wasn't getting things done, but I mean, it's something that happened. I mean, it was something that was kind of forced on me.
Yes, I read that. How's it forced on you?
Because of the financial situation at home. So my mother had been retrenched at the time, and then she figured her money's gonna run out, so why not take me to an FET college? But the funny thing is that the money ran out before I could even get any qualification. And then, I mean, I sat at home for about 2 years, and then I considered entrepreneurship. So I've been doing business now for the past 11 years.
So when you consider entrepreneurship, what do? Do you look for a need that the community needs to be fulfilled? Or do you do something that you've always been passionate about? What's the path towards entrepreneurship?
Well, I think for me back then, I mean, when I started as an internet cafe. You know, making 5 Rand a day, 2 Rand. I mean, for the first 5-6 years, I was making anything between 180 to 380 Rand a week. And I mean, I had all the time in the world to be able to record this, because I mean, I had 2-3 clients. But I mean, then all it was just copying what I was seeing around, or a need particularly that I saw through doing an audit, or rather a survey, with asking friends around me. But I mean, there was no needs analysis or that kind of stuff back then, because I mean, there is no entrepreneurship. There is no entrepreneurship in my family or anyone around me that I knew, apart from a couple of spaza shops that were around back then, you know. So I mean, I think it was mostly, you know, having that passion and desire to then say that I'm gonna do this thing. But how it was going to happen, I didn't really know.
Am I correct in assuming that you are an alternative to, and I'm not telling you not to finish your matric, please, but you are an alternative to not finishing your matric in what we know as a normal school?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely is an alternative. And I think one of the things that I advocate for, because I mean, I go to, I think a minimum of 1 school per 2 weeks or per week in the township, yeah, to inspire kids. But not just to inspire anymore, because I feel like motivation needs to be accompanied by action, or some form of development or workshopping. Yeah. So especially in the township, because in the township, that is where you find a high influx of kids. I mean, the one school that we did 2 weeks ago, Maseka's in the Tembisa area, I mean, there was 1,600 learners in that school. And I mean, there are different cases that happen there, to the point where even the department can't even, to a point where even the department, in terms of the resources, they're limited. So I mean, it needs us, people who live in that same community, who do business in that community, to advocate entrepreneurship. When you look at the number of, I mean, there's about 69, I mean, the population of South Africa, I mean, 69% of the population of South Africa is young people. Yeah. So we have the power,
and half of them are unemployed.
And half of them are unemployed. And half of them are unemployed. And the half that is unemployed has then decided that they're never ever going to look for a job because of the rejection that they've encountered. And I mean, you know, when you then start to understand the dynamics that are out there in terms of the landscape of unemployment and whatever, I really believe that entrepreneurship needs to be seriously considered as a possible career choice, because not all of us will get employment. So there's a couple of us that need to consider going the mile and pioneering a different path, so that they can create employment for others.
So when you do your motivational talks in schools, do you ever get the question, can entrepreneurship be taught? Because there's also this notion that flies around that, you know, people are born entrepreneurs. You know, can I teach someone to be an entrepreneur?
I don't think you can teach anyone to be an entrepreneur. I think that it's a set of skills that you acquire over time. It's like an acquired taste. Yeah. And I think that is, I mean, I think some of the things that stand out for me with someone who's got the ingredients of someone who I'd like to think is an entrepreneur, someone who's persistent, someone who's consistent, someone who's dedicated, but someone who's also passionate. Because half of the time I was selling things that I didn't even know, things that I didn't even have. And I mean, I'd walk out of that meeting and quickly go to Google or quickly ask someone who I thought knew what this product was, and then I'd do a quotation the day after and sell it.
So basically, umashaya when?
Yeah, back then, no, but you need to understand that back then I had to be umashaya because, you know, people buy products, and I run a brand agency now. People buy products according to the perceived value. So if I'm able to position this product well enough, then they're able to buy this product from me because of how I'm positioning it and how I'm positioning myself and how I'm selling it across. That is why whenever I'm speaking to young kids in school, I ask them that, you know, when you wake up in the morning, what do you ask yourself? When I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, how bad do I want it today?
Yeah.
Because I understand that this world is a jungle. Yeah. And understand one critical thing, Anele, that even though I've got a very amazing mother, whenever I fail, she pats me on the back and tells me that, no, you can try again tomorrow. And I do it again tomorrow. She tells me you can try again tomorrow. The world is unforgiving because the world will not pat you on the back and say you'll try again tomorrow. If I miss this interview, someone else is going to fill in the spot. That means that I need to be sharp enough and I need to be wise enough to show up and show off and show up on time. I tell people that if you show up at 7 o'clock for a 7 o'clock appointment, you are late.
You're late.
If you show up at 7 o'clock, if you show up for a 7 o'clock appointment and you show up at 6 p.m. the previous day, you are late. Why do I say this? Because as a country, we have suffered over 300 years worth of colonialism. We've suffered over some 60 or 80 years worth of apartheid, meaning that we are falling behind, meaning that as a smart young kid in this country, you need to start conceptualizing and having a plan for your life. That whole notion, you wake up in the morning and then, you know, you won't even have a plan. You'll move with the wind and friends will call you and you'll be available for them. You need to understand one critical thing. You are the CEO of your life. The reason why I'm even sitting here today is because you took a stand a couple of years ago that you were going to shape your life into the woman that you are today. That is why I'm sitting here today. If you carry on at this level, I would not be amazed if you became Secretary of State or a president or the First Lady. Why? Because you were then started to program in your mind that there is greatness in you. So how bad do you want it?
Yo, son, I just kept quiet. Did you notice that I kept quiet? I just kept quiet. And that's all we have time for today. Thanks to all my guests. I certainly hope you are more than enlightened and that we've put some of your fears at bay. This is a very important discussion for myself, Anele, and the rest of the team. Until tomorrow, good night.